Welcome back. This time we're talking about Zootopia, the latest animated film from Disney. Now, I've always been a fan of animation. Growing up, watching Saturday morning cartoons, and frankly just never outgrew loving animation. Each year when I'm looking at the new movies coming out, animated films are oftentimes right there at the top of the list. And for 2016, Zootopia was on the list, to be sure. And Disney has pretty much earned that right. They've been on a great roll. Started with Tangled, went through Wreck-It Ralph, which was one of my favorite movies of that year. Of course, you had Frozen, and then you had Big Hero 6. And, you know, when a studio gets on a roll like that, I start thinking about Pixar. I mean, Pixar had a decade-long run that just great movie after great movie, and then it just pretty much nosedived when Cars 2 came around, and it took them quite a while to come back. We got Inside Out last year. The Good Dinosaur, not so much. This year we're going to have Finding Dory, so hopefully they'll find a good keel here and move forward. But as far as Disney goes, they've pretty much been right there going straight forward for quite a few years now. So a little bit was, more than a little bit was riding on Zootopia to keep that standard up. And fortunately for animation fans and movie fans and fans of just good storytelling, Zootopia is definitely a great movie to watch. This is a fun movie. It's inventive, it's hilarious at times, heartwarming, it's got great characters, great chemistry between those characters, great voice acting. It's pretty much everything you would want from a good animated film, or any good film for that matter. You have it in Zootopia. It creates this very unique world, even though anthropomorphic characters, animals have just, that's nothing entirely new, but just the spin they put on this, where they are so human. I mean, they live in this big city, they don't get along, they have parking tickets, they have TV dinners, they have pop stars. I mean, they put a lot of thought into the creation of this world, and that really helps propel the story and the film a lot. When you have this very outlandish world, the more real it feels, the more we're willing to accept the characters and accept what happens in this movie. And Zootopia scores very well on all those marks. Now, our story follows a young rabbit named Judy Hopps, voiced by Jennifer Goodwin, best known these days for playing in Once Upon a Time, also produced by Disney. No surprise there, I don't think. Anyway, she is a young rabbit, and from her childhood, she has always wanted to be a police officer. That has been her dream. So, because of her size and because of the kind of stereotypes that surround rabbits and their timid nature, no one really believes that she can pull this off, including her parents, for that matter. So basically, she has to fight every step of the way to earn a position in the police department. She wants to be a police officer in the Zootopia Police Department. Zootopia is sort of the gold standard of civilization in this world. It's where all the animals live in peace together, prey, predator, small, large. They basically cater to everybody. And she wants to be a police officer in the Zootopia Police Department. And of course, and you'll see in the trailers, and she earns that right, but that's only the first step in her journey. As we all often learn once we get out of our school and try to get into the job market, just even getting a job sometimes is just the very first step in a difficult journey. And that's another message that we can find in this movie. So Judy moves to Zootopia, becomes the newest police officer, and sort of more by accident than anything else gets wrapped up into this case where there's a bunch of missing animals. And a potential witness is someone she meets along the way is Nick Wilde, voiced by Jason Bateman, who is a fox, and a sly fox at that, pun intended. And they don't really get along at all. But of course, we know they're going to become friends sooner or later. At least that's where we think it's going to go. So they end up having to investigate this case, and of course, roadblock after roadblock gets put into Judy's way because, again, no one believes that a rabbit can be a true police officer and solve crimes and keep the peace. That's pretty much all I'm going to tell you about the story. You'll have to see the movie to find out the rest, and you really should see this movie. Like, again, this is a great movie. The voice acting, Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman, there's great chemistry, even though obviously you never actually see them. It's a combination of their voice work and the wonderful animation of the two characters and pretty much all the other characters as well. I mean, every step of the way, they feel like real characters. And as I said before, that's part of the reason for that is because they've created this world. Everyone feels real, even though you have rabbit police officers and gazelle pop stars and everything else. It all actually works really, really well. And beautiful animation, great action. I mean, there's not a huge amount of action, but when it's there, it's a lot of fun. And it's more, again, kind of a realistic action than a lot of times you get in animated films. Now, detractors could say that if you strip everything away, you've basically got a relatively generic buddy cop movie with some pretty overt messages about inclusion and perseverance and trying to strive for your dreams. But to that, I would say you're kind of missing the entire point. Everything that is built around that story is what makes this so unique, so much fun, and worth going to see. Now, the two primary directors on this film are, let me look at my notes here to make sure I get this right, Byron Howard, who was one of the co-directors of Tangled, and Rich Moore, who was the director of Wreck-It Ralph, which on this stream of really good Disney films, those are honestly my two favorites. Wreck-It Ralph, like I said, one of my favorite movies of that year. Tangled, that was the one that basically revitalized Disney after a relatively lackluster period of films, and really proved that Disney could make good computer animated films. So put those two together, you have some great directing talent. If you look at the writing side, there's about 8 people I think that get story credit. Now, on a live-action film, that would be a very bad sign. That means the script has been turned over multiple times through multiple hands, and usually the end result is a muddled mess. Animation is completely different, especially here in the States, where it's much more of a collaborative effort. And if you look at that list of people, you have basically the same people that I just mentioned that were directing it, plus a lot of the writers that worked on Tangled, Big Hero 6, pretty much all these good movies now get story credit here. And again, it's a great story, wonderful characters. I really can't think of anything truly negative to say. Like I said, you could complain that the basic storyline is pretty buddy cop movie generic, but again, there's just so much else in this movie that's just so much fun. I don't care. I really don't. I will say, this is a family movie. There are a few scary moments. I saw this in a packed theater with a bunch of kids. There's one scene in particular, kind of as you're getting into the third act, where some of the kids in the theater screamed. Now, those were screams that weren't followed by tears. They were screams that were followed, pretty soon thereafter by laughter. But there are a few tense moments, and there's, I wouldn't say risque humor. There's humor that the adults are going to appreciate. But it's really done in a way that it works for the story and the world that they've created. It wasn't just, oh, we need to put these jokes in there so adults will laugh too. At least I didn't feel that way. So, kind of wrapping this up, Zootopia, fun movie, great movie, one of the better movies, one of the best movies really of 2016, and well worth bringing the family. If you don't have kids, go see it anyway. If you like me, if you like animation, this is definitely one you want to check out. So time for the rating. Now, if you've seen my earlier reviews on YouTube, I've been using a mark system. And this is honestly the first time I've used a rating system in all of my written reviews. I've never used such a system. Kind of avoided it, to be honest. But I thought I needed one with these video reviews. And after a couple reviews, I'm not really feeling that system. So starting with Zootopia, we're going to be changing. Instead of going from the mark system, we're going to be using the letter grade system, like we all remember from school. And in the case of Zootopia, it earns my first A grade. Like I said before, great movie. Go see it. If you've seen it, comment below and let me know what you think. And if you have any suggestions for the channel, any reviews that you would like to see, let me know and I'll see what I can do. And until next time, I'll see you at the movies.